streams that filter through this land of ours and fill a sportsman's dreams. Enjoy what nature holds for us, her bounty never ends. Getting back to basics with the practical sportsman. It's always an adventure, no matter where we go. From a favorite hunting spot to the hottest fishing hole. Outdoor life we all can share with family and friends. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman.
Hi there, come on in. It is Thursday night, May 10th, the year 2001. What a great time of year. I just spent 3 days turkey hunting up in the Upper Peninsula. Man, was it great. Our party was successful in getting turkeys. I'll give you a thumbnail sketch of the time we had in a moment. This is also the time of year when it's good to get in the streams after those little brook and brown trout. I'm going to show you the basics for fishing for stream trout and a lot more. You stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost with the May 10th episode of The Practical Sportsman. As you may know, I've been doing weekly outdoor television shows for nearly 25 years of my professional life. And during that time, I've accumulated a lot of footage, and I've been going back over a lot of that footage. And, you know, I've noticed that nothing has changed really in fishing and hunting. The fish and game certainly haven't changed. Take trout fishing, for example, in the small streams. Now, I've changed my appearance quite a bit over the years, and so has Carl Salling from Michigan. But, you know, the trout fishing hasn't changed. This is something that we did, a little feature we put together on the basics of trout fishing in 1983. The story is the same today. Take a look. Here in Carl Salling's trophy room, you can see a picture of him with his 4th largest Ontario moose, which was shot in Ontario, 45th largest in the world. And there's northern pike that have been taken up across the border in Canada. Of course, we have master angler pike that size. But you know what Canada doesn't have? They may have big fish, big moose, and all of that, Carl. I know you take a lot of parties up there every year, but no place has the variety of fishing we have here in Michigan.
No, I won't argue that at all. That's true.
I mean, those are trophies. These are trophies all around here, but I tell you, I think these are trophies right here, too, these little stream trout. And taking a trek back up in the streams is as much fun as you can get.
Well, I never tire of it. No matter all the places I've been fortunate enough to travel to, I still enjoy this little endeavor that we had today.
We fished 3 different places. And the first one that we're going to talk about is the stream trout fishing in a little creek, a little stream. There's lots of them lacing the northland of Michigan, and they hold small trout, mainly brook trout and brown trout.
Right.
Hide under the bank. Would you say they're smart fish or they're just nervous fish?
They teach us. They're teach us fish.
Yeah, they teach us to be quiet, to walk carefully, not jar the banks. What are some other tips you have on stream trout fishing?
Well, I think that one of the keys to it that we experienced today was the long rod. I really prefer a long rod, an 8-foot rod with a spinning rod on it. The short rod that you were using today is nice for certain situations. I think you found today with the stream that we were in that this worked sometimes where mine didn't. But on a real small, brushy stream, I really prefer a real long rod.
Well, the only thing a shorter rod allowed me to do was to make some sidearm casts when you couldn't have, your rod was too long. But then you, on the other hand, could sneak up, poke the rod a little farther out over a bank or over a log, and drop the worm down there.
Well, I think the key, too, is, and you mentioned it before, the movement along the banks. We saw fish today that we obviously spooked. And you can't do that. You've got to get back and be just pussyfooting along that bank to be successful.
You know, a lot of our viewers say, well, trout fishing is fly fishing. There's a lot of mystique. We weren't using flies out there, folks. I know some people are going to say we should have. But this is what we used. We used just about a number 10 hook right there with a split shot, a fairly good-sized split shot, maybe 6 or 8 inches up. And we put, of all things, a garden hackle on here, a worm. Actually, a half a night crawler. I think it would be nearly impossible unless you were really good to fly fish a stream like that, any of these small streams.
Well, I just see I see no purpose in even trying. You wouldn't be getting the effect of casting or anything that so many fly fishermen think they have to do. You would be basically fishing it with weight or similar to what you would do with bait anyways, and I just don't think it would be very effective.
It's a lot of fun because it's like a hunt. That's what I
That's
like.
right.
Sneak up around the bend, around the
Right.
corner. But you know one thing, Carl Salling? The biggest fish that I caught today, this big brown trout, the big one, well, I think it's this one right here. This one was laying in a hole that you had already left, and I was right behind you.
Well, I noticed that you're a pretty good bait fisherman. And I don't say that about a lot of people, but seriously, you're a pretty good bait fisherman. You were doing something that I found myself doing that is a cardinal sin on those type of streams, and that's racing down the river. I find myself sometimes becoming very impatient at times with this kind of fishing, and you were doing a real thorough job of that fishing, and obviously you did well at it.
But we caught 8 trout, 8 keepers, just barely keepers. I mean, they hit the 8-inch mark right on
Well,
the
you know,
nose.
there's another thing that we fail to point out about this, and that is those 8 fish there are going to be very, very, very fine eating fish.
Ooh.
That's a cold, cold river, and this time of year, those fish will be delicious.
What was the... People are going to wonder what the name of that stream was. What was the name of that? I don't know.
I can't remember.
I can't remember that either. I don't,
It's right on the tip of my tongue.
I know.
Oh, well.
That happens so often with
I'll
trout
call you
streams.
next week.
Well, yeah, I'd appreciate
that.
that. Yeah, we ought to have lunch together sometime.
Okay.
That is one thing about trout fishing. The trout are small. The streams are sort of secret. They're out there for everybody to find, but grab a map book and explore them yourself because there's trout like that in many areas.
No one is going to tell you their little pet spots, but they're all over the state.
Another place we went to fish today was a beaver pond, and we used a tube just like this. We didn't use it. You used it, Carl. You're the specialist in this.
Well, I wouldn't venture forth on any beaver pond anywhere in the world without one of these inner tubes.
Now look, all it is, they make fancy harnesses for these that you can buy commercially, but Carl just made this with some nuts and bolts and some webbing around a big old truck tire.
1000 by 20 truck tire.
And now that enables you to wade through the beaver pond without worrying about stepping in a hole, which
Right.
I had to worry about now and then.
Well, they're a treacherous, treacherous place. There's beaver cuts, there's beaver runs, there's just the natural bog, the silt that's flowing in all these ponds, and they can create a very dangerous situation.
Okay, I was wading along the edge by the edge of the dam, and I was casting one of the spinning right here with a worm rig. And I caught quite a few little chubs and one brook trout. Now you whipped out your fly rod, even in the wind. That wind was bad. I had to go to the sidearm cast, keep my cast low along the water so the wind wouldn't catch it. I could get a little more distance. But you felt that the flies would work better?
Well, I, for years now, have stuck with fly fishing when it comes to beaver ponds. I put on this Coachman streamer the first day and will continue to use it the rest of the season.
Okay, people are wondering, where do they get these big ones? Big old rainbows. And this obviously was maybe a stocked fish.
Well,
But that's okay.
Should we tell the secret?
Sure, go ahead, tell the secret. It's a pond right behind Carl's house. He puts a couple hundred trout in there.
But that's the last 2 that we got out.
No,
Right?
there's a lot more out there. But, you know, the fun thing about a pond like that is that you can practice your technique.
Right.
You did a lot of catch and release, but why shouldn't you? It's your pond and it's your trout, and you'll go back and catch them again. Battling a rainbow trout. You hold your rod extremely high.
Well, I was kind of cheeky. I wanted to fish the jump for it.
Oh, would you normally hold it that high? Don't you want it to jump for you, too, when you fish?
It really depends. No, these fish that we're after, I prefer to keep the rod down and let the fish do what he wants to that way. But by keeping the rod down, you're going to have that fish a lot less active on the surface. And I'm not interested in seeing him jump. I guess maybe a lot of people are, but I'm not.
It's fun to watch.
I really love the runs that one larger fish out there today gave me. That I really get a kick out of.
He ran clear around your tube.
Right.
That was great.
Right.
And right after you landed him, I hooked another one.
Right.
I was using a MEP spinner on that one.
look at the rainbow on that.
Hold it still.
But you know what, Carl? I don't know if you saw or not, but the way you've been catching and releasing those fish, you know what I did with mine, don't you? I kind of saw that, Fred. But that's okay. That's what they're there for. And yeah, I think you'll find that they're very, very good on the table.
May is morel month in Michigan. Now's the time to get out and hunt those morels. It's also the time to begin that trout fishing in the streams. And if you have a permit, you can go spring turkey hunting in Michigan. Now, Tim Farragon and I drew permits for Menominee County for the second season. That's where we were for actually 5 days last week. Oh, we had a ball. And part of the fun for me was that I didn't take the camera with me out in the field. I just hunted. But I did fire up the camera when we got back because we hunted with a couple of young guides, well, young by our standards, who really made that hunt outstanding for me. Sunday morning, 3 of us got our turkeys on the last day of our season in Menominee County. Tim Farragon from Langsburg is my hunting buddy, and our host was Rob Molly, who lives up in Powers. That's a little UP town. Lives with his roommate, Curtis Grundon. The two of them are hunting and fishing fanatics. So, you're getting serious about guiding, huh?
Yeah, I am. I got 17 kills so far this year.
And that's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Curtis is understating his guiding abilities. Last year he called in gobblers for 16 hunters. This year he beat that in the first 2 weeks. Isn't the month of May good for turkeys up here?
It gets a little better for bigger toms. They start splitting away from the hens and stuff, and then they're a little easier to call in.
So what's your favorite type of turkey hunting?
What's my favorite type of turkey hunting?
Yeah, what makes the best day for you, the best hunt?
When people don't miss. They kill the bird right away.
That was pretty nasty. That was nasty. Foul ball. No, I mean, you don't like to sit like deer hunting and wait for
No, I don't like to wait for the birds. If they're not talking to me, I like to move on them and make them talk and have them coming in. If I don't, I go to a new location and set up on them. Try to get them to talk again and kill them that way. I don't like just sitting there and waiting. That's not how they're supposed to be hunted.
How do you find hunters react to that? Is that what they like too?
Most of them. Some of them don't know any better. They just think that's the way it's supposed to be done. Sit there and wait for them, but not me.
So turkey hunting turns your crank.
Yeah, big time.
Something fierce.
Big time. Yeah.
Why?
So much more exciting. Action happens so much faster than a deer hunt. It's not sitting and waiting, it's making stuff happen. That's what I like about it.
How long do you sit in a spot before you say, we're leaving?
If I know there's birds there, I might stick around a little longer. But if I'm in a new spot that I don't have a idea where they're going or where they're coming from, I last about 5 minutes.
I see. And go find a place where there's some birds.
Yep.
We didn't get these toms by lazy hunting tactics. It was a real workout, but it was the most fun I've had ever hunting turkeys. You do or don't have a guiding service now?
I don't. I do it for fun mostly. I'm getting into it a little bit. A guy here looked me up here, and he's having me guide some of his hunters, which is a good time. Meet a lot of new people, a lot of interesting people.
What about booking hunters yourself?
I never got into it because I got a pretty steady job, but I'd like to look into it. It's a lot more fun than working all day. Hunting's a lot different.
Yeah, but you only have a couple weeks actually in the spring for
Right.
guiding turkeys.
Right.
But I tried to tell Curtis that turning your favorite recreational activities into business activities may sound fun, but oftentimes the luster wears thin when you actually try to make a living from your hobbies. Curtis Grundon is a turkey hunting madman, though, and it might take a lot to spoil the fun for him. You know Curtis's little comment there about hunters who miss, and it's kind of disappointing for Curtis as a caller to bring him in? Well, he did everything right, got a big tom that came in, almost point-blank range in front of me, and I whiffed the shot. Didn't touch the turkey, right over its head. Oh, I got all kinds of excuses for that, but to redeem myself, at least in my mind, I set up this can at the same distance the turkey was, used the same type of shell, the same gun, just shot at it without the turkey fever. Man, I plastered it, so it wasn't the fault of my equipment. I just had turkey fever, which I don't apologize for because that really made my hunting trip just to have that opportunity. But you know, turkeys have another benefit. Their meat is organically grown, virtually fat-free, excellent tasting. And how do our turkey guides prepare these turkeys? Well, Rob Molly shows us how.
Turkey collar?
Plucking the feathers from fowl is how it's done when the birds are fat, but when they aren't, as in wild turkeys, you might as well skin them. On a fresh bird, the skin pulls back easily. And then, Rob Molly method is to take a good sharp knife and cut along the breastbone like filleting a fish. The idea is to cut away all the meat from each side of the breastbone so you end up with two large, boneless, skinless, excellent tasting wild turkey breasts. Now you move the knife in a flensing type of motion, the index finger on top of the knife, carefully cutting away the meat as cleanly as possible. You know, wild turkeys spend most of their time on the ground, either walking or running. That makes their legs dark meat, while their breast muscles, which they don't exercise very often, stay white and tender. Now Rob removes both sides of the breast this way. Then he takes the thigh and the drumstick, which removes nearly all of the meat on a wild turkey. Plucking a bird like this takes a long, long time. I've done it, and I really don't think it's worth it. The breast, the thighs, drumsticks are the ball game. Meat with virtually no fat. Rob likes to cut these breasts into strips and fry them in butter. There's actually quite a bit of meat on a wild turkey. This is the meat from my turkey. The breasts here I'll cook up with some recipe that we'd use on boneless, skinless chicken. I'll also try Rob's sautéing method with the strips. And the legs, the big drumsticks and thighs. I think I'm going to cook one in the oven. I'll bake it. The other one I'll put in a crock pot. But I know there's some excellent eating right here. Well, this turkey gives me something to experiment with in the kitchen. But you know, besides eating the turkey, we can learn things from what the turkeys eat. In fact, whenever you're cleaning any fish or wild game, it's a good idea to check the stomach, or in the case of a bird like this, the crop, where you will find the food that they've just eaten. And that can give you some good clues as to how to go after them.
Some more bugs. What are those, little beetles? Clover?
So clover.
Dandelion.
Oh yeah?
Dandelion bud.
Huh. If you find seeds or bulbs that you can't identify, try planting them.
A couple, 3-4 years ago, Curtis's dad actually had found some bulbs. They weren't sure what they were in them, so they had planted them and whatever. I don't remember what kind it was, but when it came up in the spring, they knew what kind of bulbs it was, what kind of flowers they were, and they looked for those in the woods. That's when they knew where to hunt the birds the next year.
And did it work?
Yeah, they get a lot of birds. It's a good family to go bird hunting with. It looks like it's about it. A lot of clover and grass, oats.
Got a tick?
Last year's crop. Yeah, it looks like we got a wood tick.
A wood tick?
Looks like we got a dead fly, or an old fly. Something gross. I don't know, waxworm? I guess it's as good as mine.
Well, good for them eating wood ticks.
An ant?
Huh. So they just eat a lot of stuff.
Yep.
This is the ultimate in hunting and gathering. We hunt the birds, we hunt for the food they eat while we dress them out, and for me, that's interesting. Trout and Molly, forensic hunter.
Gotta know what they're eating if you want to know where to hunt them.
You've got to know what they're eating if you want to know where to hunt them. Wise words indeed, a principle that hasn't changed in all of my years of hunting and gathering. And the beard, by the way, is a little strange group of hair that grows out of the breast of a tom turkey. And, even though these jakes have little beards, we cut them off and save them because they're trophies to us. Huh?
That's my turkey.
That's it.
Yep.
Well, they might have been small jakes, but we were thrilled to get them. 3 full days of hard work, we filled our tags, and got meat for the table. Here's the beard from the tom I got. It measures exactly 2 5/8 inches. And I don't think anybody should feel bad for getting a small turkey or a small deer. I mean, antlers or beards, that really isn't what it's about for a lot of us, even though the DNR and some of the trophy hunting groups would like to convince you otherwise. For most of it, fishing and hunting is just gathering our own food. And, you know, if we get a big one, that's great. But if we don't, we should still be darn proud of it. In fact, what I'm going to do is, you know, we have the Marbles Hunting Awards and the patches for hunters who get the big ones, the big trophies. I'm going to develop a patch this year for turkey hunters that says, Small Jake, Proud Hunter. And I'm going to come out with a patch for deer that says, Small Buck, Proud Hunter. My idea behind these patches is not to promote trophyism or pound on our chests, but just to promote pride in being successful at hunting and fishing, and that doesn't mean always getting the big ones.
Probably nothing more. My luck's probably going to roll the wrong way now.
Mid-20s.
Isn't the month of May good for turkeys up here?
It gets a little better for bigger toms. They start splitting away from the hens and stuff, and then they're a little easier to call in.
So what's your favorite type of turkey hunting?
What's my favorite type of turkey hunting?
Yeah, what makes the best day for you, the best hunt?
And people don't miss. They kill the bird right away.
That was pretty nasty. That was nasty. Foul ball.